I had been traveling through the uncharted sectors of the galaxy for months, exploring abandoned colonies, derelict ships, and planets that hadn't seen life in centuries. It was a lonely existence, but one I had grown accustomed to. Solitude had become my companion, the hum of my ship and the endless stars my only friends. That night, after scanning a small, seemingly lifeless planet called Niria 7, I decided to land for rest. The planet was calm, with soft winds whispering across its barren plains. The surface was dotted with strange crystalline formations that glimmered faintly under the twin moons. It felt peaceful, almost too peaceful, but after weeks in deep space, I didn't question it. I set up a temporary shelter inside the cargo hold of my ship, a makeshift arrangement of blankets and portable tech, and lay down, expecting nothing more than sleep. I drifted into a deep, dreamless slumber. And yet, when I opened my eyes, I was not alone. Sitting quietly across from me were two figures, impossibly still. The first was a tall, elegant woman whose skin shimmered faintly under the soft lights of my ship like the subtle glow of bioluminescent coral. Beside her, a smaller figure, a girl who could not have been more than 12 by human standards, mirrored her posture. Both stared at me with eyes that glowed a soft violet, and I froze, my heart hammering in my chest. Who are you?" I asked, my voice hoarse from sleep. The taller one smiled gently, a curve of her lips that radiated both warmth and authority. "Do not be afraid. We mean you no harm," she said in a melodic voice, one that seemed to resonate in my mind rather than merely my ears. "And you?" I asked, glancing at the girl. She mimicked her mother's smile, though it was tinged with curiosity rather than authority. "We are from this world," the woman said. "My name is Lyria, and this is my daughter, Elara. We have come because you were chosen." "Chosen? For what?" I asked, sitting up slowly. My hands instinctively moved toward the small energy blaster I kept at my side, though my rational mind told me these beings were unlike any threat I had encountered. "Not for harm," Lyria said calmly, "but for understanding, and for help." I stared at them, my mind racing. The story of my night, once filled with empty solitude, now transformed into a reality far stranger than any science fiction tale I had read. Over the next few hours, Lyria and Elara revealed the truth. Niria 7 was not lifeless. Beneath its barren plains lay a hidden city, ancient and teeming with life, powered by energy sources unknown to humans. Their civilization had existed for millennia, evolving in secrecy, guarding knowledge that could either save or destroy neighboring worlds. "You are here because you can help us," Lyria explained, her violet eyes never leaving mine. "There is a threat approaching, a rogue faction from a nearby star system. They have discovered our location, and they do not seek negotiation. We need your insight, your experience navigating unfamiliar territory, and your understanding of survival." I was stunned. This was far beyond any mission I had anticipated. "Why me?" I asked. "I'm just a traveler. I explore, I observe. I'm not a soldier or a diplomat." Elara stepped closer. "Because you have seen the galaxy as it is. You understand solitude, survival, and the value of life beyond your own. That is rare among humans." I nodded slowly, realizing that, for reasons I could not yet comprehend, fate had placed me in this moment. I agreed to help. The next day, Lyria guided me through the hidden pathways to the city below. The crystalline formations on the surface opened like doors to a labyrinth of corridors, glowing softly with embedded energy lines. The city itself was breathtaking. Towers of translucent metal and glass rose toward the cavern ceiling, spires interconnected with floating bridges, and streams of liquid energy flowed like rivers beneath our feet. I could see why they had remained hidden for so long. Any intruder with ill intent would never have survived the journey here. Yet now, the rogue faction was coming, and time was running out. Over the next week, I trained with Lyria and Ilara. It was unlike anything I had ever done. They did not teach with weapons, though the city's defensive systems were formidable. They taught strategy, communication with beings of different forms and intelligence, and the subtle manipulation of energy fields, techniques that blended science and something I could only describe as intuition. Ilara was particularly quick, absorbing lessons with an eagerness that reminded me of a prodigy. I began to feel a bond forming with both of them. The mother's calm authority and the daughter's unbridled curiosity created a dynamic I could not resist. Each night, after long hours of preparation, I would lie awake in my quarters, reflecting on the enormity of what was coming. And each night, I was not alone. The two of them were always there, sometimes silently observing, sometimes offering small words of encouragement. The threat arrived sooner than expected. A fleet of sleek, black ships descended toward the surface, moving with calculated precision. Lyria's people activated defensive measures, energy shields flaring to life around the city, while I joined the command center, monitoring incoming ships and strategizing countermeasures. The rogue fleet was relentless, probing our defenses, testing our response. Lyria coordinated the city's defenses with a fluidity that left me in awe. Ilara assisted with energy field calibrations, her small hands moving across holographic displays with astonishing precision. Together, we formed a triangle of trust and skill, human and alien working seamlessly. Hours passed in a blur of strategy, energy pulses, and counterattacks. At one point, a breach was detected. A small strike team had managed to penetrate the outer shield. Lyria and I moved to intercept them, navigating the labyrinthine corridors while Ilara monitored from above, providing real-time guidance. We encountered the intruders in a chamber filled with cascading energy streams. The rogue soldiers were armed and dangerous, but they had not anticipated our combined skills. Lyria moved with a grace and precision that was almost supernatural, neutralizing threats with minimal effort. I focused on flanking maneuvers and environmental manipulation, using the energy fields around us as both shield and weapon. The battle was intense, but our coordination prevailed. When the last intruder fell, silence settled over the chamber. The adrenaline coursed through my veins, but relief followed quickly. I turned to see Lyria and Ilara, both unharmed, their eyes reflecting pride and something softer, trust, gratitude, perhaps even affection. That was incredible, I said, still catching my breath. You did well, Lyria said, placing a hand on my shoulder. But the true test is not in battle alone. It is in understanding, in leadership, in the choices you make when lives hang in the balance. Ilara smiled up at me, her violet eyes glowing faintly. You're part of our world now, she said. Not just as a visitor, but as someone we rely on. The days that followed were quieter, spent repairing systems, reinforcing defenses, and learning more about the culture and history of Lyria's people. I found myself sharing stories of my travels, my experiences, and my loneliness. In turn, they shared legends of Nyria 7, tales of heroism and sacrifice, of exploration and discovery. The bond between us deepened, no longer simply one of necessity but of genuine connection. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the crystalline city, Lyria invited me to the observation deck. The stars above mirrored the energy streams below, creating a panorama that defied description. You have changed the course of our history, Lyria said quietly. And in doing so, you have changed our lives. Not just through your actions, but through your presence. You reminded us that even in solitude, connections can form where none are expected. I looked at her and then at Ilara, feeling the weight of her words. I never imagined waking up and finding anyone here. And yet, I cannot imagine leaving now. Lyria reached out, taking my hand gently, while Ilara rested a small hand on top of ours. Then stay, if you choose, Lyria said. Not because you must, but because we wish it. You are part of this world now, part of our family. I swallowed, realizing that my life, once defined by solitude and wandering, had transformed in a single night. One night, one unexpected encounter, had led me to discover a hidden world, fight to protect it, and form a bond that transcended species, culture, and distance. I choose to stay, I said, my voice steady with conviction. Not because I have to, but because I want to. With both of you. Their smiles were radiant, and in that moment, the city below seemed to shimmer brighter, as if acknowledging the union of human and alien, stranger and family, protector and protected. The threat had been neutralized, but a new journey had begun, one of exploration, understanding, and a shared destiny that stretched across stars. As the moons reflected off the crystalline towers, I realized that one night, one secret, had altered the course of my life forever. I had slept alone, but I had awakened to a new world, to companionship, and to a purpose I had never imagined. And as long as I remained here, with Lyria and Alara beside me, I knew that no star, no threat, and no solitude could ever separate us again. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown dangers and wonders, but for the first time, I was not wandering it alone.